It's pretty amazing when you think about it. A grown adult spending hours, sometimes even days, meticulously clicking together thousands of tiny plastic bricks. It's so much more than just a hobby. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the deep psychological and neurological science behind this global phenomenon of adult Lego building. We're going to find out what's really happening in our brains and minds, one brick at a time.
So here's the central question, right? In a world that's all about digital overload and constant pressure, why are so many people finding an escape in a child's toy? It feels like a total paradox, but the answer, it turns out, is buried deep within our brain's architecture and our most fundamental psychological needs. First things first, let's get the lingo down. We're talking about AFOLs, that's adult fans of Lego. And you'll hear a lot of them talk about rediscovering the hobby after something they call the dark ages. You know, that time from your teens to early adulthood where you put the bricks away? Well, as we're about to see, coming out of those dark ages can be an incredibly powerful way to restore your mental well-being. Okay, so let's start with the hard science. What is physically happening inside your brain when you snap those bricks together? It turns out this isn't just about having fun. It's about engaging a process that actually mirrors the very way our minds are wired to learn, adapt, and even outsmart artificial intelligence. At the heart of all this is a really fascinating concept from Princeton University called compositionality. The idea is basically that our brain doesn't create totally new neural pathways for every single new thing we do. Instead, it has these reusable cognitive blocks that it just reassembles in different ways. I mean, think about it. A Lego brick is always a Lego brick, right? But you can use it to build a car, a castle, or a spaceship. Your brain works the exact same way.
And this, right here, is a key advantage our biological brains have over AI. Our brains are masters of cognitive flexibility. We can learn something new without completely trashing old knowledge. A lot of AI systems, on the other hand, suffer from something called catastrophic interference, where learning a new task basically makes them forget a previous one. So in a way, building with Lego is like a physical workout for this uniquely human superpower.
So what's the chemical reward for all this? Well, when you're focused on a complex build, your prefrontal cortex, your brain's problem-solving hub, just lights up. At the exact same time, activity in your amygdala, which is like the brain's panic button, starts to quiet down. Then your brain releases this amazing cocktail of dopamine and endorphins, giving you feelings of pleasure and sparking creativity. And the cherry on top? Your brainwaves actually shift into an alpha state, the same state you'd find in deep meditation.
And these effects aren't just in your head, they're measurable all through your body. These focused building sessions lead to a serious drop in cortisol, our main stress hormone. Your heart rate becomes more regular because your parasympathetic nervous system, that's your rest and digest system, gets activated. So you're not just feeling calm, your body is undergoing a systemic physical reduction in stress.
All right, so we get the biology, what's happening in the brain. But let's dig into the why, the psychology of it all. Why are we so drawn to this kind of orderly, structured activity, especially when the world around us feels like anything but? A huge piece of this puzzle comes from a concept called desire for control, or DFC. It's a core human drive. When things feel chaotic and unpredictable, we instinctively look for structure and order to feel grounded again. So, building a Lego set where every single piece has a specific place and the final result is guaranteed, that is the perfect antidote to the uncertainty of modern life. It's really no surprise that interest in these sets just exploded during the pandemic.
This desire for control often creates what you could call the completionist loop. And this loop is just incredibly satisfying. It starts when you seek out a structured task. You methodically follow the steps, and then you get that incredible moment of placing the final piece. That rush you feel is a real, measurable sense of accomplishment, something that can be really hard to find in a job with endless projects and shifting deadlines.
But it's not just about control. There's another powerful force at play here, nostalgia. And we kind of need to reframe how we think about it. It's not just about passively longing for the past. Research shows it's actually an active psychological tool we use to anchor ourselves. When we're feeling emotionally drained or disconnected, nostalgia can reconnect us to a time of simplicity and wonder.
This is often explained by the reminiscence bump. It's this wild phenomenon where our most vivid, positive memories tend to come from when we were between 10 and 30 years old. For a lot of us, that was prime Lego time. So when an adult builds a retro castle set or a classic Star Wars ship, they're not just building a model, they're reconnecting with, and maybe even healing, their inner child, tapping back into a sense of pure, uncomplicated joy.
And what's really fascinating is how this hobby fits so many different kinds of people. If you look at the Big Five personality model, you see these really clear patterns.
People high in openness, they're often the ones building MOCs, that's my own creations, using Lego for pure artistic expression. Those high in conscientiousness, they love the precision and order of following complex instructions. And for people with higher levels of neuroticism, the focused activity becomes this powerful coping tool for anxiety. It just calms the mind.
Now, this isn't just about personal well-being. The principles we've been talking about are being used in some really powerful ways in both clinical therapy and the corporate world. The simple act of building is being used to solve some very real human challenges.
So check this out. Lego-based therapy, developed by Dr. Daniel Legoff. It's used to help individuals on the autism spectrum develop social skills. In a group, the project is broken down into these superstructured roles. The engineer reads the plans, the supplier finds the right parts, and the builder puts them together. This structure just strips away the usual ambiguity of social interaction, and it creates a safe, predictable space to practice communication and teamwork.
And the results are not just stories, they are statistically significant. So, in science, a p-value of less than 0.05 is considered strong evidence. The number you're seeing here, p less than 0.01, means the probability of seeing such a massive drop in social anxiety just by chance is less than 1%. It's powerful, data-backed proof that this structured play is genuinely changing lives.
Then you go to the corporate world, and you've got a method called Lego Serious Play. It's based on the theory of embodied cognition, which is really just a fancy way of saying our hands and our brain are deeply connected when we think. When you ask a team to build a 3D model of a business challenge, you're helping them literally externalize complex thoughts. This completely bypasses the usual verbal roadblocks and allows teams to unlock new levels of creativity and solve problems in a whole new way.
So where does all this lead? Well, in our increasingly digital world, the very nature of play is evolving, and that line between the physical and the virtual is getting blurrier and blurrier.
Welcome to the era of phygital, or seamless play. This is where an adventure that starts in a digital world, like in a Minecraft or Fortnite game, can be continued through physical building, and the other way around. It's all about creating this fluid ecosystem that flows between the screen and the real world.
And this is not some niche trend. A full 71% of parents say they see their kids moving smoothly between playing on a screen and building with physical bricks. This kind of integration gives us a much-needed break from the cognitive load of screens, but lets us stay connected to the stories and worlds we love.
Which brings us to our final question. As our lives get more and more tangled up in the digital world, could these simple, tactile objects, these plastic bricks that demand our full attention and the skill of our hands, could they be the psychological anchor that our brains and our minds are so desperately craving? The science seems to suggest the answer is a resounding yes.